Welcome to another episode of Building Bridges, where we bring in senior executives from corporate America who have made tremendous difference in the community they serve and beyond. My name is Al Limay, President of Logistics Solutions, a global technology company, and we serve many large clients in global. Today we have a very senior executive from probably one of the best companies in the world, I would say, in the technology side, Microsoft. His name is Fernando Hernandez, and he runs the global supplier diversity for Microsoft. Fernando, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I know you used to live here in New Jersey, now moved to Seattle,
Yes.
that area. So tell us more about yourself. What was your career while you were here, and what made you go to on the West Coast?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you. Thank you for having me on Building Bridges, and I want to say thank you to your viewers on behalf of Microsoft and myself. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. As far as myself, I'm a long-term resident of the New York, New Jersey area. I lived in the New York area for most of my life. I was a long-term executive at AT&T for a number of years, engaged in sales, business development, a lot of international work. I became passionate in trying to give back, and at one point led their supplier diversity program. I thought I would only do it for a year or two. I became enamored with it and supporting the different communities, whether it be the ethnic communities, minorities, women, people with disabilities, and also veterans. So I did it for a number of years. Then I was recruited and went out to Seattle to work for Washington Mutual.
Formal, okay.
Yes, I was a banker
Okay.
for about 2 years. Then I was recruited to go to Microsoft, which is my current assignment. And my current role is, as you said, I lead the global supplier diversity program at Microsoft, and it's my honor to be doing so.
No, we are so privileged to have you here, Fernando. Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend.
So for the sake of just clarity, maybe some for audience, at a very high level, give us what is the supplier diversity and why is Microsoft involved in that?
Very good question. Supplier diversity, very succinctly, is the method by which corporate America guarantees that they are engaging with our constituency. As Microsoft moves to engage the next billion people that aren't currently using technology globally, it's important for us to understand that we also owe to them to engage with them from a business point of view. So whether they're small businesses in the United States or globally, we want to be good corporate citizens and engage with them and buy products and services from the same people we seek to do business with, to have an equitable balance of trade.
Okay, so as a global director for supply diversity in Microsoft, tell us what are your specific roles and responsibilities?
My specific roles tend to be varied. I have a role that at any given day can be very different. And I'll give you an example. I sit on a number of different national boards, and we support a lot of the different communities throughout the United States. There's organizations like the NMSDC, the National Minority Supplier Development Council. So part of it is supporting the community through these board participations, and they are the ones that cascade into the communities broadly. Then there's an aspect of, as you said, it's a global program. So we have initiatives that are going on right now in Australia, in India, in Canada, and in South Africa. So we're proud to extend our program to other parts of the globe as well. We also are engaged in the UK as well. Then we have the dynamic of supporting Microsoft's initiatives around doing business with the federal government, state government, local, and education. And we have other organizations, other Fortune 500 companies. We have about 80 to 85 companies that come to us and say, can you support us from the point of view of supplier diversity?
Wow, okay. So you're a mentor to them as well, is that what you're saying?
I enjoy that role. And yes, I am a mentor to them, but on both sides. I will mentor companies like your own, whereby they're technology companies that we see that they have a unique value prop. We'll not only engage with them and use them as strategic vendors to Microsoft, but we will mentor them and make sure that they're taking full advantage of the different things we offer. Things like having great alignment with the top business school. So I can recommend executives.
Top business school, that's the...
Yes.
Okay, New Hampshire. Okay.
Right,
All
the Tuck Business School at Dartmouth, absolutely, where we sponsor and we have scholarships for entrepreneurs to go over a period, over the summer typically, for a week of extensive training.
I see.
We support that program, Kellogg, UCLA, and also University of Washington, where I just happen to sit on the board of the Business and Economic Development Center there.
So sounds like you have so many different aspects of business that you handle. It's a huge responsibility.
It keeps me busy.
Okay.
I will say that, yes. But I enjoy it. I derive the energy from both being able to support these different businesses, and we don't say small anymore, because what you see is, I'm so proud in the time that I've been engaged in this, I've seen many, many businesses grow out of being small to mid-size to some that now we have a good number of companies that are doing multiple billions of dollars a year.
Billion, as in B. Wow.
As in B. I'm thinking of companies that this year will do 5 to 6 billion. I'm looking at companies that now are publicly traded. The world has shifted, and I think diverse companies like your constituencies are well positioned, because we are truly in a global economy.
Sure.
So folks that have a presence here, that have a presence in India, have a presence, let's say, in China, etc., they can truly leverage what infrastructure now that we have around the world for telecommunications and other technology infrastructure.
So maybe you touched on some of the things that I'm going to ask next, but tell us, when you joined Microsoft, what was the diversity spend within a very short time, based on what I know in the media and about you, is you grew that substantially to a very large number. So how did you achieve that? What were those numbers?
Well, first I'm impressed with the fact that you did research very well. The opportunity was the following. I joined Microsoft, and my specific task was to create a world-class supplier diversity program. How do you define that? Becoming a member of what we call billion-dollar roundtable, about 15 corporations globally that consistently, year in and year out, spend over $1 billion in diverse spend, certified diverse spend. What I did, my commitment to my boss, was I came in and it was 620 million.
620 million, okay.
Right. I had 3 years to get to the $1 billion mark.
Wow.
Well, thank goodness, in 2 years, I took the company to the $1 billion mark, and we became members of the $1 billion roundtable, 1 year ahead of plan. A lot of hard work, a lot of great support from the Microsoft family, and their commitment to diversity all the way up to the level of Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. So it was a terrific opportunity. Today, I'm proud to report that at the end of June, we will close the year at over $1.6 billion.
So, 620 million to 1.6 billion.
Yes.
That's a huge journey.
It's been an interesting ride, and great opportunity to meet phenomenal people and to support people and make, I think, a real difference in the lives of both the business owners and the people that work for them, both here in the United States and globally around the world.
So now you're at 1.6. What are your new goals? Where do you want to be?
That's a wonderful question. My goal is to quickly take the company spend to $2 billion. That's my goal, and I'm going to push to achieve that goal. And I look forward to the next time I'm here. To report my success.
We'll do that. I'll take you up on that.
I will be here.
So now that it looks like you're in this elite club of BDR, $1 billion roundtable, tell us a little bit more. How many companies are there? How many more companies are vying to be there? And how do you support them? You as a now successful BDR member.
I'd be happy to answer the question. First of all, so you just get a flavor of who belongs in the billion-dollar round table today. You have companies like AT&T and Toyota and Kroger's, a number of different large global companies. There's at present about 17 companies. As far as wanting to get in, the last one that just came in, that was admitted, was Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
Great corporation. We have, on the waiting list, we have a number of companies actually eager, wanting to come in. We have Kaiser Permanente from the West Coast that I know is making significant strides, and their CEO has given them the mandate to go do to achieve the billion-dollar mark. So I think they are probably our next member to come in. But what's happening is the corporations are understanding that the supplier diversity program is a significant way to demonstrate your corporate social responsibility, because it's hard dollars spending in these communities.
Companies who are trying to be on this BDR, elite group of companies, do they come to you, companies like you yourself, and say, hey, help me understand what this is all about, what are best practices? So tell us more about how you mentor them.
I think that what's happening today is that a lot of corporations are engaging us exactly in that way, and I'll give you two examples. In the case of Johnson & Johnson, which we spoke about before, they came and asked myself and others to support them and mentor them, and actually do extensive presentations, benchmarks, etc., in their corporate facilities. So they invited us to come in, and we did, and we started our dialogue. And a relationship 3 years later, they achieved their goal of it being inducted into the billion-dollar round table.
I see.
Now we see local companies here like Comcast. Comcast, again, has taken the challenge of wanting to become a large, significant player in supplier diversity. Same process. The Chief Procurement Officer has invited us in to support them, to mentor them, to impart with them our best values, our best benchmarks, our best practices, etc., to be able to get their company out to that billion-dollar mark. So it's interesting, we're getting more and more requests. Sometimes I feel like a consultant.
I'm sure they appreciate your input, because ultimately, if a mandate has been given by the CEO, senior execs, and you help them achieve, I'm sure they are very appreciative of what you do for them.
It's interesting from a Microsoft perspective. It's humbling, one, that they ask us to engage with them and to support them. And so we're extremely happy to do so. It's also very valuable because they are our clients.
Okay.
They are Microsoft's clients. So that's another way that my program gives value back to the Microsoft family, where our clients say, wow, this is a huge differentiator. Here's a technology company that actually has a world-class program around something completely unrelated, supplier diversity, and we're willing to support them from everything we have, our intellectual property, best practices, benchmarking, and I'm more than happy to go and meet with them and serve them.
Great. Being that you took from 620 million to 1.6 billion right now, and other companies trying to get there, what are the challenges and alignment that you within your corporation need to have with the business units, the peers, or the senior executive? Where do you see proper alignment needs to happen before you get to these big numbers?
Absolutely. I think that for me, my training around sales, business development, and marketing, which are core disciplines to any corporation, have served me well. I'm not a traditional public relations person or procurement person or diversity HR person. I've always been and always will be a marketer. So I approach it as any other discipline, and our alignment is a very key question. Strategically is aligned with senior management. It's goal aligned with the heads of the business units, and then it mirrors the alignment within global procurement. So global procurement, the chief procurement officer and myself will own a goal of, let's say, $1.6 billion for the year, We have that opportunity to cascade it to all of the different people that are engaged in procurement at Microsoft, both in the US and in many places, as I mentioned, around the world. But it also aligns to senior executives' commitments in the business units. That way, you have the traction that one needs and the support.
But the senior executives, do they go all up to the chairman, CEO?
We have had commitment up to the CEO. Like I'll give you an example in the case of MSIT, our technology internal to Microsoft. Their commitment internally is 15% of their spend. So we do have the presidents of the divisions. We ask them for specific commitments. Yes.
So now that you're spending, 1.6 billion to the diverse community, what kind of things do you buy? I'm sure it's literally from papers and pencils to very high tech. So give us a spectrum of what you buy, and more importantly, what are the top 3-4 areas where you think the audience can look forward to potentially engaging with Microsoft?
I think that's a great question. As you said, as any large global corporation, we buy pretty much everything you mentioned. Where do we focus? I think we focus primarily on what we are, a technology company. So we buy a significant amount of technology globally for Microsoft. So that's the sweet spot of where to engage. So then the second more strategic question that you asked, which is where's the potential not only today but in the future? And I think when you talk to any technology company, you want to understand a little bit about the roadmap. What I would look at is where we've made significant bets. We've made significant bets up in the cloud. So it's cloud technologies. It's big data. It's making sense of huge streams of information. It's mobile. So we understand that mobile is definitely the way to attract the next billion people around the world. It's natural user interface. How does the keyboard and the mouse not completely disappear, but how does it substantially disappear? So I think those are some general trends at a high level that would pepper the thinking of a lot of your viewers are saying, well, at least I understand some of these areas where Microsoft is really interested.
Those, if I see those more like a software, now that Microsoft is shifting also in a hardware devices company, tell us whatever you can as to what the strategy is, and are there any specific areas, because you are a newer player in the hardware?
Yes.
What are the opportunities in that area specifically?
I think it's an exciting area for Microsoft. It's software plus services. It's software services and now it's devices. So it's an exciting day for Microsoft. To a large degree, if you talk to our engineers, a lot of what we were compelled to create our own platform for these devices, because a lot of what we're looking at as our global roadmap are required to create unique devices. So that's the one. As far as it's extremely exciting because now we control more of the ecosystem in that space. We're managing a more robust ecosystem. What I'm excited about is the seamlessness of being able to use, let's say, a Windows 8 mobile phone and be able to port it to a Surface unit.
I see, okay.
Or be able to port it to a large touchscreen. The seamless integration between all of them is incredible, truly, from my perspective.
Sure.
Being able to house everything up in the cloud on things like shared drive. Again, I think it's transformative, but the ease and the elegance of, I believe, Windows 8 has been, for us, something we're extremely proud of.
But as a device manufacturing company, you are designing, building, selling, and refurbishing all 4 components of the device business?
Yes, it's an end-to-end ecosystem, and we're opening up our own retail locations.
Okay.
So there's multiple channels now also available to the consumers. So we're reinvigorating ourselves.
Okay. So now that you mentioned refocusing or a change of, I should say, of the devices company, help us understand how does a small company who's not currently working with Microsoft, okay, what should they do? What are the ways that they should potentially and hopefully get involved to work with Microsoft?
I think in general what you want is to really get a good sense of whether it's Microsoft or any other corporation, to do a little bit of research before you engage the corporation. I would really say look at the annual report or pull one of the 10Ks. Gives you a lot of insight into where the company is going, where we're spending significant monies now, and why, the strategy behind it. So that would be like the first thing to do.
Okay.
Directly, what I would say, either you want to engage with us, with about 1,400 global suppliers in my supplier diversity program at this time. You will want to go to the Microsoft website, do a search on supplier diversity. It'll take you to our page, and you can register there, number one. Or number two, we do an extensive amount of engagement in the community through many national and local organizations.
Okay. So you said about the involvements in the different organizations. Tell us specifically where you and your people from either procurement or supply diversity go, so that viewers can stay tuned to those programs and hopefully engage and meet with you during those programs.
I'd love to meet with them. The national venues would be the NMSDC,
Okay.
National Minority Supplier Development Council,
Okay.
or women's events like WeBank, Women's Business Enterprise National Council,
Okay.
WPO, Women's Presidents Organization.
Okay.
At the federal level, there's the U.S. Department of Commerce, which together a very good program called MedWeek
Okay.
with the U.S. MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency, U.S. Department of Commerce. So there's actually a number of different engagement points. There's the Veterans Organization in the roll-up, and I can kind of go on and on and on. So if you go to our website, it will list the ones we engage with.
So there are ways for people who would like to meet with you and your team to meet any of these events. There's no excuse for not say I couldn't meet Fernando, right?
Well, I'm pretty approachable, as you can tell.
Sure.
I'm a man of the community, and I feel very comfortable meeting with folks all over the country or all over the world. I like to be available. I think it's part of our mission to really get a great idea for what these businesses have to offer firsthand. So yes, you do need to meet with them, both at trade shows and events, setting up one-on-ones, taking meetings in Redmond, Washington, around the world.
So as a part of, good that they meet you and your team, but what are the next steps they need to take in order to really eventually get a contract with Microsoft?
I think to get a contract with Microsoft, you have to be very focused on, when you've done the research that we talked about before, and you understand what we're buying and why we're buying it and why. You understand a little bit of our technology roadmap, as I mentioned before. What will be the enablers of things like big data? What would we need? When we talk about strategies to reach the next 1 billion people globally, it'll probably be on mobile devices. So what will be required to do that?
So come up with newer ideas, newer ways that they can say, hey, look, it's not I want to sell it because it's my business, it's going to help your mission.
Yes, it has to be, I think you're right, it has to be goal aligned, that it's win-win, because obviously you're competing with many other corporations, so you always have to think about how you're going to differentiate.
Right.
What is your differentiator, and how is it going to either produce better cycle time efficiencies or efficiencies around controlling cost or enabling revenue? Those are the major things. So we can't lose sight that it's still business, but we're looking for great world-class solid firms that, oh, by the way, are diverse.
Sure, I see. So let me just reiterate what you said, which is I think very important. It's good to be diverse, but they got to differentiate themselves.
Yes.
They got to create a very solid value proposition for you, which is either reduction in cost and increase in revenue, and align with overall mission of Microsoft.
Absolutely. Or they can drive other efficiency, like cycle time efficiency.
Okay.
An example of that would be, can you create some sort of a process that can actually advance the development of, let's say, a device or software, what have you, to get us into market that much quicker, that would be tremendous value.
Okay. So let me ask a different question now. So much success and within the spend arena. I'm sure you participate as a board, formal board member in a lot of organizations. Tell me which ones do you sit on, and what is your? You touched briefly previous, but give us a little more information on that.
I do sit on a number of different boards. I'm glad to do that. Some of them I mentioned, like the NMSDC or WeBank or WPO, on the veterans boards for Naroba. We support other entities and other organizations, both local affiliates of those organizations. On the West Coast would be like Astra. Here would be the New York, New Jersey Council, associated with the NMSDC. So both at the international, we have organizations that we connect, which supports women globally. Some of the national ones that I mentioned and some of the very local ones. But what's interesting is we also do things with universities. So I'll sit on a board in Washington State, the University of Washington. We have the Business and Economic Development Center there. We develop and support people in that community.
But correct me if I'm wrong, I think I heard you say once that you're also on a Stanford committee somewhere.
Yes, I'm also on a board at Stanford University, whereby we're focusing on this initiative specifically is starting with Latino business owners. And I'm looking to expand it and grow into my entire program, if I can, is my wish. And it is to study entrepreneurship within this vector and understand what works, what doesn't, how can we improve it, how can a world-class university like Stanford add value to that community. So we're at the first stage of researching, doing deep research into this. So stay tuned.
That's a very interesting program, I must say, Fernando.
It is, and I'm very proud of it.
With all that you've accomplished in prior life in AT&T, WAMU, and Microsoft, I'm sure you won a lot of accolades for the leadership and contribution to the community. Tell us a few of them that, most recent one. I'm sure you have hundreds of them. Tell us the latest ones.
Well, again, you're kind, but you're putting me on the spot, and one of the awards that I'm most proud of actually receiving is two. One is a local award here. I won the LSI Medal of Honor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that is given to individuals that have significantly impacted society in a positive way, and that come from different ethnic origins outside of the U.S. In my case, being Cuban American.
Great.
So, a great honor, and I received that honor at LSI. It was quite enjoyable. But that's a personal honor.
Sure.
I'll take you in a different direction. Of all the awards that I had, and there's been a few at Microsoft, the one that I'm most pleased with is one from a company you've probably never heard of. It's called Puget Sound Personnel.
Okay.
And they specialize in supporting people with disabilities. So they take clients that have autism at a certain range of autism, and they develop them and train these young people to come and work at Microsoft.
Wow.
And work at other employers. And we're proud to say we have about 31 of these people working at Microsoft. And it is so uplifting to see these people really engaged in a meaningful way, and working and feeling positive about themselves.
I think that's a real contribution to the society. So I can see why you're so proud of, that's a different award altogether.
It's a different award, but to me it's the most gratifying of all. That it touches me at the human level.
Absolutely. So as a part of this overall ecosystem, Fernando, are there any formal programs within the NMSDC Bank that you support, or do you have your own programs where you actually mentor an organization, a small business, where, so tell us if you have that and how does it work?
I think that's a great question. I think that there's formal mentorship programs in some of these organizations, like you mentioned, NMSDC. It does have the Centers of Excellence, which is a formal mentorship program. We also have experienced other mentorship programs that are formal with the U.S. Department of Commerce. We at Microsoft have our own, and we make it a point to find best-in-class companies that we can engage and mentor. And that's a win-win situation, because many times they're engaged in either unique technology, unique offering, where we get behind them and we say, well, how can we use this different offering at Microsoft in a vendor relationship, and how can we potentially extend that and go to market with this person? So we would take your world-class technology, package it with Microsoft, and take it to all our channel partners. I think that's the highest and best use of what I can do as a mentor. Take it to the point that we're a strategic partner.
So, Fernando, let me ask you a different question about Microsoft, right? Tell us, though people know, tell us the whole history of Microsoft. How did it become such a successful company? And what would people, gain by potentially working inside Microsoft as an employer, not as a vendor now. Tell us more about that.
So as far as Microsoft, it's a small corporation out in Redmond, Washington.
Small, okay.
Started by a fellow named Bill. But all kidding aside, we're very proud of what Bill Gates has created, from being able to have the energy of his youth and bringing people like Paul Allen with him together to create what Microsoft is today. But it is the American dream, and the dream of our constituents here on building bridges, that anyone that has the drive, that commitment, and that hard work ethic, and that sees the future, can create something like a Microsoft. And to me is incredible. But the most incredible thing to me, Al, is the fact that Bill Gates and his wife Melinda decided through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to actually give it back.
Absolutely.
Give it back and to support the world in a meaningful way. And as that's what touches the heart of many Microsoft employees. That's what keeps us alive, and wants for us to continue to deliver and be world class, and to move into other areas like devices, because it's an ecosystem. We create world class technology that enables people to reach their top potential.
So I like your answer about Bill Gates himself and Melinda, everything's foundation. But as a potential, let's say, graduate, fresh graduate, or a potential employee of Microsoft, tell us what kind of career path I might see within Microsoft, right opportunities to go up. As a career, financially, I heard Microsoft has built a lot of millionaires, billionaires. So tell us more about that.
You're very well informed. As far as Microsoft, I think there's still a bright future for a lot of the people that are actually viewing this program, both here and in other parts of the world. What we see at Microsoft is that people that are studying technology and science, STEM-related fields, there's actually a dearth of jobs open in the United States as far as technology. So it's interesting when we hear the statistics about unemployment, underemployment, it really doesn't exist so much in the technology domain. I really spend a lot of time on coaching young people to develop those skills so they can come and engage with a company like Microsoft in a number of different verticals.
So again, I just want to make sure it's a very important message what you just said. Unemployment is unfortunately pretty high at this point. But you're saying, as a message to the younger generation, do science, math, engineering, because there are lots of opportunities there.
I think you're dead on, absolutely. I think that what we owe young people is the insight and the wisdom, the little that I have, is to look at where things are going. It is still a domain whereby if you have those STEM-related types of educational backbone, that there's substantial need in the technology domain. So I see still for its evergreen as far as that space to come in and support us with our mission to create everything in the cloud, big data. Help me get to the model that we understand the internet of everything, right? The connectivity of everything, and what does it mean? Those big questions. And I think young people, it's great to see them engaging with that skill set, because it means they bought a ticket to be able to participate in that process, to come to a Microsoft or to one of our competitors, quite candidly, because we're all competing for top talent. So the message to the viewers is there still are a significant amount of these jobs, specifically here in the US, that are unfilled.
Okay, so let me now kind of summarize and give you a chance to say a few more words. This program being on supply diversity, kind of help summarize, what is your message to the potential vendor who want to work with Microsoft?
My message is simple. It's, again, do your research, understand what our corporation is. We've talked a little bit about the roadmap of where we're going, both domestically and globally. Where does your corporation add significant value? How can you differentiate that value? How can you approach us in a way that you have a very tight message? So maybe it's a one-page document. Some people now are creating very short videos about their company in a very professional way and communicating it. Engage with us directly, whether it be through our website or in person. Be very focused on what you want. Understand your core competencies. Right? We can't do everything.
Sure.
So be highly targeted. But I think it's a time to succeed, and we have to own it.
So there are opportunities, lots to work with Microsoft.
I think it's an exciting opportunity to, right now in technology, to work with Microsoft. I really do feel that we're at the cusp of something big, because it's transformative. Everything is pretty much there. You have the ability, if you have a great idea, to be able to today, you don't need a server farm in your office. At a very low cost, you can get access to our Azure platform, which is our cloud technology. It's fully scalable. You have world-class communication infrastructure that's ubiquitous.
Sure.
You have a number of apps, as we all know, that are available to us. A lot of the basic building blocks are there. All we need is people like our viewers today that have these robust ideas and create a business around their vision. And where's the next Bill Gates going to be minted? Probably in Asia. And he said it himself. I would challenge our viewers to have the next Asian Bill Gates here in the United States.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Why not? I see a number of the different youth that are coming up, a large percentage of the youth that are looking at STEM are Asian Americans. So I think I would like to see the next Bill Gates.
So here's, today we had very senior executive from one of the best companies in technology, Microsoft, Mr. Fernando Hernandez. And you heard from him that there are opportunities to work with Microsoft as a potential employee and a potential vendor. He gave a very clear picture on how to engage. More importantly, he told us what he has done to take this program within Microsoft to 620 million to 1.6 billion as of today. So stay tuned, get in touch with him. Thank you for watching. And Fernando, Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.